Alrighty, so let's get started. Let's talk about some of the different glazes that we have. You're gonna want to refer to the glaze chart and notes that are in Google Classroom. So we have several different brands of glazes. We have Mako, we have two lines for them. We have Stroke and Coat, which comes like this, and we have Elements. Elements are gonna be glazes that mimic high fire glazes. So they're gonna usually be like two colors, okay? They typically run, so you would wanna not put too much close to the bottom because it could run and fuse to the glaze shelf. If your project is glazed on the bottom, okay, if it runs or gets stuck and I can't get it off easy, then it's going bye-bye. I'm gonna hammer it off because my shelf is more important. So when you are done glazing, we'll talk about how we take our sponge and we just wipe off any extra glaze, okay? I won't fire your project if it has a bunch of glaze on it. I don't have time, especially now that we're virtual teaching, so you gotta do that before you drop it off, okay? The other type of glaze from Mako is the Stroke and Coat. This is the only bottle that you have to have the glaze cup for because look how small it is. Your glaze brush is not gonna fit down in there. So I'm going to pour just a little bit into my glaze cup that is clean, okay? And I'm just gonna start with that much. I do not need to fill this entire cup up because then I'm just gonna have to pour it back into the bottle. Remember, glaze is a very expensive material, so we do not wanna waste any of this glaze, okay? We also don't wanna cross-contaminate, so I wouldn't wanna dip into this and then take that same brush and dip into here. Okay, that would ruin all that glaze. So when I'm done using this color, okay, I've used one brush with it the entire time, I did not cross them, I will then take off this cap, okay? And I can use one of my brushes to kind of scoop this back into the bottle so we do not waste it. So that's the Stroke and Coat glaze. It's the only one that you need the glaze cups for. Most of you will probably end up using these colors because they're really bright and vibrant, solid. They always turn out the same. They're really reliable. Okay, these ones are cool because they mimic high fire, but there's a little more, happening there. They might run, they might stick. Okay, some other glaze lines that we have are from Amico. Amico is a really big company, just like Mako. They make a lot of ceramic materials and supplies. So this glaze is from the Artist Choice line. And if you can see in the photo, okay, it's two colors. So again, it's kind of like that Mako one where it mimics high fire. So I tend to like those glazes, but you might like more solid glazes. This one's called Opalescent, okay? And this glaze looks better on red clay. So you'll wanna make sure to look at the test tiles. There are gonna be test tiles posted that are red clay, and there's test tiles that are posted that are on white clay. So you might wanna take a look and see, hey, which glaze looks best on red clay for this project, okay? Don't assume it's gonna be the same. Think if I took a yellow marker, okay, and I drew it on red paper. It would not look the same as yellow marker on white paper, okay? Same concept. This is a more solid Amico color. This is light green. And so this one though is pretty pale. So again, this one would probably not turn out good on red clay. So make sure you this one turns out great on red clay. This one does not. So make sure you take a look at those test tiles. So these are three of the different brands that we have from Amico, or lines. We have their liquid gloss glaze, we have their Artist Choice glaze, and we have their Opalescent glaze. We also have a few matte glazes from Amico, but those are honestly very old. They've been here since I got here, so you can use them, but they're gonna take a little more effort to stir up, okay? So that's the Amico matte glazes. All right, then we do have also some glazes that we call crystalline glazes, okay? And they're faking a real crystalline glaze. And if you can see at the bottom of this bottle, do you see those little pieces? Those are pieces of glass. And so when you're glazing with these, you don't want to pick off these glasses, because glass pieces, these chunks, they're supposed to be there. Whereas with the rest of our glazes, if you have a chunk in them, you want to kind of pick that out. You don't want to have that showing up. This is the only glaze where chunks are good, okay? And that's because when the glaze is fired, it will melt and it'll turn it into a little spot, okay? Two more glazes I would like to talk about are our not food safe glazes, okay? And those are gonna be our glazes that craze and crawl, which we learned about in our Nearpod, okay? So crawling is when it cracks and kind of separates into islands. Sometimes it even flakes off a little bit. Crazing are those hairline cracks that you see on the inside like an old mug, okay? And so neither of those are food safe because food could get through them and into the bisqueware and it would rot, okay? So we don't want to use these for food. Now, that being said, they're super cool, and if you're not going to eat out of your pinch pot creature probably anyway, so feel free to use these on non-functional, non-servingware pots, okay? And both of these are actually made by Mako, if you're curious. So we have black cobblestone and white cobblestone, and then we have the classic Crackles line from Mako. We have a light blue color, which is this China sea color. We have a green tea color. It's coming in the mail, so it may not be here in time. I've ordered it. We also have a transparent crackle, which is clear. And we have a white crackle, okay? One cool thing you can do with the crackles too is rub ink into them afterwards, so then the lines turn up black and you can see them better. So that's something we can do eventually. All right. And here in a moment, I'm gonna stop talking from this video and I will take my camera over and show you all of our glazes that we have over there. Okay, so we are over here by all of the glaze test tiles. It's a little messy right now because you guys aren't in school, so I haven't fixed everything up. But here you are getting a good look at them. Okay, this is where they'd be in the normal classroom. All the glazes are up here on these shelves. Okay, so the little cloud-shaped or flower-shaped test tiles are what the white clay looks like. So in your notes, you can see a picture of these glazes. These are the stroke and coat glazes. Remember, those are these tall bottles. Okay, they're very consistent. They're pretty much always gonna turn out exactly like these test tiles. Okay, very consistent, safe choice. They don't run, they don't mess up. You can layer them. Over here, these on our left side, okay, are gonna be our Amico glazes. This is our Amico matte line. This is our Amico liquid gloss line. Okay, these are the opalescent lines. Then these two columns, those are gonna be our Mako elements line, the ones that also fake high fire. So most of these, when you get close, okay, it's hard to see, like these black adventure lines, see the different colors, there's like sparkles happening in there. Okay, most of these glazes are more than one color, so they're pretty cool. They do run, most of them don't mix well, okay, but they're cool. All right, over here, these are our crystalline glazes, our fake crystalline glazes, because again, we're low fire. And so these have those little pieces of glass in them, and that's what makes those little specks, okay? So the more specks you have, the more, you get. Like this herb garden one has a lot of specks in it, so that was probably towards the end of the bottle when we did that test tile. So make sure to use those specks, all right? These are this is what our crawling glazes look like, black and white cobblestone. People have peeled them off because they're old test tiles. These are our crackle glazes that I have rubbed black ink to. Okay, these are what our under glazes look like. That's for a later day. You don't need to use those if you're in Ceramics 1. And then here are all the test tiles, again, for the most part in the exact same spot, but they are on the red clay, okay? So let's look at the difference here. So this herb garden we just looked at, okay? That's herb garden. Look how it's kind of like a light green color, the base color. When you put it on the red clay, it's like almost gone, okay? Also, you can see there's some crazing with this one. Some of these glazes, especially these crystalline ones, are more likely to craze, okay? So they may not be suitable for food safe things. Okay, here's the stroke and coats on red clay. Again, if it's really light color, like this Blue Dawn, okay, it doesn't turn out nearly as good on red clay as it does on white clay. Whereas like the teal next time, it doesn't matter, it's fine on either. Okay, and then here are our Amico ones that are on, let me pull this out. So here's our Amico ones that are on red clay. as well as our Mako elements. So some of them look the exact same. Some of them look cooler. Like the sapphire looks cooler on red clay. A lot of the blues actually look really good on red clay. But some of them, they kind of just don't even look like anything. This just blends right in. You can't even really tell that's different, okay? So all of these examples will be posted in your notes for you to reference.